Now, as I mentioned in the last video, we need to look at some backgrounds for this rendering. And since we have no elements in the background, we'll have to apply an image to the back of this view. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. I will start with the simplest one, which is actually adding an image to this render. So if we scoot down to the background color icon at the bottom of the render box and drop down the arrow, we see we're in color right now, meaning that we're using the color from our drawing. Let's pick on image. Now immediately this is popped into place. If we click on the magnifying glass icon, this links us to MicroStation's backgrounds, which are simply JPEG files. And it's chosen Sky Blue Small here as the graphics file. Now yours may not have chosen anything at all, but that's the one we want for the moment. Now that places our sky image very nicely in the background, and it doesn't interfere with any of the foreground elements at all. Now at the moment this is a one-shot deal, meaning that if we do another render of this building, we won't see the background. However, we can lock it into place if necessary, so do the same thing. Click on the lock icon. And now every image that we do from here onwards will have that same background. I'm going to unlock that for the moment. So what you might do right now is stop the video and just practice with the different possible background images to see what the effects are. And then come back when you're finished. Okay, the second method is to use the view of the actual drawing as a background. And we do that under Settings, Design File, and Views, and Background. Now here we see the same file that I've just used in the render. Click on Background, so it turns background on. You can look for a different background. This ought to pop up. You may have to go and find this particular folder. And the path is a little convoluted. So what I'm going to do is to open that anyway. I'm just going to move my cursor onto the JPEG here. And there's the path to this file. So I'm going to say OK to that. If you don't see a background, then go to View Attributes and turn on Background. If I turn it off, background disappears, turn it on, it's there. Now you'll notice that the background is everywhere, including behind the elements. This is only temporary. When you render this view, the background will disappear behind the elements completely, and you won't see the background inside the elements, just like the render background we previously did. Now, one small thing, if we use a different background here, and let me do that right now, Design File, and Views, and Backgrounds, and let's choose, say, something like San Jose Mountains instead. So now we have this JPEG behind us, but this is really not a very good image to use with our building, because clearly having this image behind is going to look a little strange. Plus, depending where we put our fence, for example, if the fence went in like that, we would see bits of trees beneath the road surface, etc., etc. And we don't really want that, of course. So one thing you can do in similar circumstances is to actually pan this drawing. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click and drag. So I can move my image around in relation to the background view. I don't think you're stuck with MicroStation's image files. You can use any JPEG as a background. So even photographs you've taken yourself or photographs from any other source can be used as a background. And you can achieve quite good results under the right circumstances. Let's say you're working in architecture and you have a street scene and you're designing a building which fits into that street scene in a specific location. Then you can take a photograph of the street and use a facility called Photo Match, which you'll find on the Cameras toolbox. But this facility in MicroStation matches known points in 3D space to corresponding points on a photograph. In other words, points on the drawing, on the elements, can be matched to a photograph and scaled accordingly. In the meantime, experiment with some more backgrounds in both types of situations, both with this type of view and as a background to a render.